10 years into retirement, and I still have days where I feel like a ghost haunting my own life. Not sad, not broken, just present, without a purpose. Like I showed up, but nobody sent me an agenda. And the weirdest part, from the outside, everything looks great. I'm traveling Southeast Asia for 5 months a year. I'm hiking. I'm free. And some mornings, I still wake up and feel like I'm slowly disappearing. Nobody told me that was a possibility. Nobody even came close. Here's the thing. What the retirement content machine tells you is save enough, quit the job you hate, and then freedom. Sunsets, golf, maybe a garden, the end. But here's what they leave out. When you remove the pressure that was moving your life forward, you don't just feel relief. You feel relief and something else. Something that doesn't have a clean name. And it shows up quietly, weeks, maybe even years later, in ordinary moments. And it just sits there, waiting for you to figure out what the hell it is. Well, I spent about 2 years not figuring it out. Hold on a second. Okay, that's better. By the way, I'm Jason, retired at 39. And before you assume that I was some tech founder or finance guy with a 7-figure exit, I wasn't. Simply put, I helped car dealerships put photos of the used cars and trucks on the internet. That was the job. I was outside in every kind of weather, photographing inventory, managing a team whose bad weeks came out of my paycheck, sometimes with zero control over outcomes that directly affected my life. It was the kind of job where you're professionally responsible for other people's laziness, where you smile at a sales manager who just cost you your rent money. I didn't love it. I didn't even like it most days. I just got really, really good at it. And then, after about 17 years, I left. And then, and here's the part I'm still a little embarrassed about, I missed something about it. Not the job, please, but something inside it. Something that I didn't know existed until it was gone. And realizing that a job that you couldn't wait to escape had been quietly feeding something essential in you. That's a specific kind of humbling that's really hard to explain without sounding like you've completely lost your mind. Honestly, the first thing I noticed was the weightlessness. And I know that sounds like a good thing. It isn't. Or at least it isn't only a good thing. So picture this. It's Tuesday, it's, let's say, 10 a.m. and you have nowhere to be. No one needs anything from you. You could do literally anything. Go anywhere, start anything, and you just stand in your kitchen and you feel nothing pulling. Just open, empty, directionless space. That feeling is retirement a lot of the time. And if you haven't felt it yet, you will. And when you do, you're going to think something's wrong with you. Well, I'm here to tell you something's not wrong with you. But something is gone. And the difference between those two things took me years to sort out. You know what I mean? So here's the deal. Here's the truth about work that nobody in this space seems willing to say. Work is a terrible way to spend most of your life. And it's quietly doing about 15 things that you never asked it to do and never noticed that it was doing until it stops. Structure, obviously, but also challenge that actually has teeth, social contact that required nothing from you, just happened because, well, you existed inside of a system. The daily feeling that something moved because of you, and accountability, and the low grade, sometimes annoying knowledge that somewhere someone is counting on you to show up and to be capable today. You take that all away, you don't just lose a job. You lose an entire invisible scaffolding that your life was hanging on. And the scaffolding was so built in, so automatic, so constant, that you didn't know it was there. It's sort of like if gravity turned off, you'd float. And at first, floating feels amazing. And then it doesn't. And then you'd give a lot just to feel heavy again. So anyway, nowadays, my wife and I, we travel through Asia for 5 months a year. Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, Cambodia. And those months feel alive in a way that's hard to describe. New places, strange food, constant low-grade sensory chaos. You're present because the world demands it. The environment itself creates pull. You don't have to manufacture it. But the summers back here in Indiana, that's where I felt it. Still do sometimes. This is where the drift lives. Long open days, simple routine, hiking, gym, free concerts in the park, the same small circle of people that we love. And I want to be clear, I'm not complaining about this life. I chose it, I like it. But there's something that can happen inside of a life that's too comfortable, too low friction, too easy. You stop leaving marks on your days. You just sort of pass through them instead of living in them. Not because you're lazy, not because you're depressed, but because nothing in the day required the full version of you. And the full version of you starts to get a little restless, a little dusty, a little reduced. And this is the part that I really want you to hear, because it took me almost a decade to see it clearly. And I feel it's the thing that retirement content is most afraid to touch. You can dislike your work, count down the days to leaving, throw a party when you're done, and still lose a version of yourself when you go. Not the version that photographed used trucks in the freezing rain. Good riddance to that version. But the version that was capable, that solved problems, that people came to, that finished things and was accountable and moved things forward. That version doesn't live in the job, but it was using the job as its home. And when the job is gone, it has nowhere to live. And it gets quiet. Not gone, just quiet. And quiet, after a while, starts to feel like shrinking. And I felt that, standing somewhere in a moment where the old version of me would have felt solid, and instead feeling strangely small. Like I got a lot less real somewhere along the way, and I didn't notice when it happened. The thing is, that happens to a lot of people. And nobody says it because it sounds crazy, right? I retired from a job that I hated, and now I kind of miss who I was inside of it. It almost sounds like you should have stayed. Trust me, you shouldn't have stayed. But you should have brought that person with you. And most of us don't know how to do that because we didn't know that we needed to. Most people won't bring this stuff up on their own. So if you know someone who's heading in retirement or already in it and quietly feeling this, just send them this video. Let it do the talking. So here's what I eventually figured out. The question isn't, how do I fill my days? Honestly, that's a distractor question. That question leads you to a full calendar that still feels empty, to busyness that looks like motion but goes nowhere. I was really good at that for a couple of years. I kept busy, I stayed tired, felt nothing. The real question is, what in my life right now creates momentum? Not comfort. I mean, comfort is easy, and retirement is full of comfort. Not pleasure. Pleasure is everywhere if you have the money. Not even happiness necessarily, but momentum, pull. What makes today feel like it mattered? What requires something real from you? What would I actually notice if you didn't show up? That, my friend, is a design question. And retirement, no matter how well you plan the money, didn't come with that design. Nobody hands it to you. Nobody ever tells you that you need it. You have to build it yourself, from scratch, in the middle of a life that looks and feels, well, sort of hollow. And let me tell you, building it is harder than saving for it. Because at least with money, you know what you're aiming for. Look, it took me 10 years to get here. 10 years, 2 continents, and a lot of comfortable, pleasantly unmemorable days. And slowly, through what I can only describe as trial and error and occasional mild existential dread, I figured out what I actually needed. I needed to be making something. I needed something that required me, that had stakes, that would be worse if I wasn't doing it well, that pushed back. This channel is that for me, at least right now. And I'll be honest about why, because I think it matters. I didn't start this channel to help people. I mean, I do want to help people, but that's not why I started it. I started it because I needed a reason to think hard again, I needed something that required the real version of me to show up. I needed to feel like something was at stake. And I'm not gonna lie, that's not a notable origin story. It's just true. And I think it matters that I say it that way. Because if you're in retirement and you're feeling that quiet drift, you're not broken and you're not ungrateful and you don't need therapy. You just need a reason, a real one with teeth. Because here's the last thing. Retirement really is everything that they tell you it is. The freedom is real. The relief, it's real. Waking up to a Monday and not caring that it's Monday, that never gets old. And I mean that, trust me. But freedom without design, it isn't freedom. It's just time. And time without pull isn't rest, it's drift. And drift is invisible and slow, and it can take years before you realize that it happened. That somewhere in all that freedom, the version of you that was most alive went quiet, and you got so comfortable, you almost didn't notice. Don't let that happen to you without a fight. Build the momentum. Find the thing with stakes. Let yourself need something again. Not because retirement failed you, but because you're still here. You're still capable. Still able to leave marks on your days. At the end of the day, that's the whole thing. 10 years, right there. If you're still figuring out the financial side, whether you're waiting longer than you need to, the next video is for you. It's about the hidden cost of working past 60. Not just the money, the health, the years, the things that most people don't add up until it's already cost them something that they can't get back. It might change how you think about your timeline. Go watch it next. I'll leave a link down below. And remember, retirement isn't just a math problem. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you in the next one.